When I met Jesus Christ, he was almost 10 years old, and he was helping his mother push a trolley full of all they owned. And because they couldn't find an inn they could get in, they were heading to the city and leaving Bethlehem. Couldn't you perform a miracle? I'm out of them, he said. I tried turning nothing into warmth, but it just made my mother cry. It just made my mother cry. Mary Magdalene has become a man, and tonight he's old, and she has been riding my tram. Now it's late and she's trying to sleep beneath a poster for a bank. Your dreams are important to us as it bathes her face in gold. Come give us your natural gifts, we make wealth from toil. Come pretend for history's page that we're advancing Australia fair. Let's pretend that we're all advancing Australia fair. Back down the road I found the church we built on the black man's bones was empty, and out the front a sign read all but sold. A sign read all but sold. And we all owe so much money, but to whom we're not quite sure. So head down, we just keep running along our fading golden shores. So head down, we just keep running along our fading golden shores. Come give us your natural gifts, we make wealth from toil. Come pretend for history's page that we're advancing Australia fair. Let's pretend that we're all advancing Australia fair.
Okay, tonight's discussion piece is going to be with Michael Ginsberg. Michael Ginsberg is a great mind, and we're coming to have a discussion about the freedom, the future of our movement, and he has a great idea that I'll let him share. Let's grab one. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Hi, Michael.
And I have
Thanks
read
for
your
having me on
piece.
again.
I have read your piece. It's and interestingly, well, why don't you just start? What is your thoughts of what we have to do now for why amateur hour is over?
Right. Okay. So last month was pretty wild. I think we can all agree on that. So December 2025 was pretty wild, and we kind of expected things to happen, but we didn't know exactly what's gonna happen, and we didn't know how, how quickly things may happen, or if something even happens or doesn't happen. And kind of December 11 is come and gone, and the first day was kind of all right, and then all of a sudden we had this thing coming out of left field that none of us expected, right? And that's Substack. All of a sudden, out of all the platforms, there was a little bit of age verification going on Twitter. Obviously, there was a fair bit on Facebook, but that was widely expected. And there's actually some initial data that Facebook has just literally released 2 days ago. So that's maybe the audience will be interested in that. So Substack was a surprise. Why Substack was a surprise? Because Substack was a platform that for years, like years now, since really the pandemic started, has built itself like as a safe haven for dissidents, right? So, and really, I mean, that's probably like, the main reason why I initially, like, when I started, I ended up on Substack because I saw all these people, like,
Yeah.
including yourself, who like,
Yeah.
can be on Substack and don't get censored and can do whatever they want. And I guess for me, also being a tech guy and having a digital marketing background as well. So there was another thing about Substack that was very, very appealing to me compared to any other really platform, a social media platform. And that's the fact that you were actually building an email list, right? And you were able to
Yeah.
also take your content with you if you leave, right? Because I
Yeah.
didn't want to lock myself into like, a platform like Medium, for example, right? Where you couldn't take your audience with you, right? If
I
something
was the
happened.
same with Facebook. I had
True. I mean, Facebook
106,000
an
followers.
extreme example, obviously.
I
Yeah.
can't take any of them with me. They're my audience. I don't have access to them.
So that's the term for that is a walled garden. That's what it's called in digital marketing lingo. It's a walled garden. The idea is that you're there and basically you're renting your audience, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
one of like the common things that like when you have an introductory meeting with a new client in digital marketing and like they don't know anything about anything, right? The first thing you tell them, you don't build your house on rented land. A platform is a rented land. You have no control over what's going to happen. The landlord can evict you at any time, or even if they don't evict you, they can say, okay, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, or like you know what, you can stay, but I'm not gonna let like whatever you broadcast go anywhere to anyone, right? So that's the famous freedom of speech, not freedom of reach, like a lot of people are saying. So okay, so I did a podcast episode in late October where kind of I revealed my plans and how I was preparing for this. And I did say that it is almost certain that Substack is going to be captured, right, by that, because for all sense and purposes, like will be captured by the legislation sooner or later, because for all sense and purposes, they are a social media platform. Not only that, right, whether intentional or not, at this point, I believe that it was intentional. They published a piece like in mid-October, right? So like, less than 6 weeks before the start of like, the thing in Australia. Yes, we are a social media platform. So a Substack is a social media app. That's literally was the title of the piece. So it was obvious, like it's like you literally like you're asking for it, right? You know what's going on in Australia, you know what's going on in the UK, and you publish a piece like that. So what do you want, right?
Yeah.
So I knew that they're gonna be captured, but what I didn't expect, right, is that they on their end, without being coerced by anyone, right, that they're gonna roll over, which they did. And not only they rolled over, they rolled out, they contracted a company called Persona, right? And their solution, nobody knew exactly how it's going to be implemented and how it's going to look like, if Substack were to activate that. And when the solution was activated, two things became very, very obvious immediately. First of all, it is a highly, highly intrusive, right? Strictly biometrics, no government ID, no nothing. Biometrics, face scan or piss off. Number one. Number two, the way it was applied on Substack was very, very selective, right? And they initially, they said, look, are we going to apply that on categories that we consider as adult only? And most of these categories, like, they make sense. If you talk about sexuality, if you talk about, I don't remember all the categories right now, and all of that kind of looked fine, right? But then you see people like, David Hughes or Doc Malik in the UK get banned for what? And the way they were banned, it was pretty nasty. What they did is they blocked, everything was fine, but you can't access the chat. Right? Or other people, some comments are accessible, some comments are not accessible. Or for some people, some posts you can access, some posts you can't access. And before that, like, that thing started, I think literally the day before, they sent an email to creators. I, for some reason, never got this email, but a lot of people
I never
did
got the
get
email.
this email. Yeah, so a lot of people got this email, and basically in it, Substack said something along the lines of like, paid subscribers will not be affected, right? Because they've already paid with Stripe. Like we have their credit card details, they're verified. Don't worry about it. It will not affect your paid subscribers. And then again, immediately it became evident that's not the case. That's bollocks. That's not what happened. I mean, I got like within hours. I remember I got on Thursday night, right? I got a message from a subscriber showing me like the screenshot.
Yeah.
I have a subscriber, paid
Good,
subscriber.
Malaysia.
I have a paid subscriber who's completely locked out of her Substack account. Like she cannot access anything because she tried, like, she got that thing, right? That persona thing. And then she tried another computer and then she tried another device. And some people try to work around with a VPN. And then apparently, I don't know, it detects, suspicious activity, right? Because there's an AI behind persona. That's it. You're locked out of your account.
Wow.
And even with VPN, people try to use VPN. Nothing. So we're talking about like, and I mean, if you look a little bit about persona and who the clients are, we're talking heavy duty. Like we're talking big tech. It's an identity verification giant that most people haven't heard of until December 11th, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say here, where I'm going with this. So we kind of know the big play. We understand how the enemy operates. We understand like what their objectives are. We understand that the digital ID is the final step, and after that, it's game over. We understand all of that, right? Yeah. But we don't understand and don't appreciate, I guess, for lack of a better term, their ability to execute. Their ability to execute is extremely refined. They have resources ready to go in a setup that we don't even understand, right? Because there's no doubt that what happened with Substack and that selective banning, right? It was targeted at particular publications. There's no doubt about it.
Let's look at Substack from a historical level.
Yes.
If a communist, once a communist regime sets up or totalitarian, who do they go after first? The intellectuals. Where were all the intellectuals? On Substack. All the doctors, all the brilliant, and I'm not saying worse are there, but Dr. Phil Altman, all these others, they're the ones that are getting affected. And so you can see this is what they're doing. That's why I personally think they went after Substack, because Substack was not about funny cats videos or anything like that.
You're almost there, Michael. Almost there. Like you were there, and then the last point is kind of you missed it. So nobody went after Substack. Substack is what, like, we refer to it in cybersecurity, but I think it's also in intelligence. In the intelligence world, they use this term. It's a honeypot.
Oh,
that's what exactly what you said initially.
Yes.
That's exactly what you said. It's a honeypot.
So they set it up as a honeypot to get all.
Come here, freedom of speech.
Build it, and they will
big
come.
Audience that you monetize, and then you become reliant on that income.
Yeah.
And then look, I mean, either you lose that income and use your livelihood, or you comply. When you think about it, like, I mean, but you need to understand, that's what we need to understand. We are talking with people who know what they're doing. They've done it before. They have a recipe. And that's why really I wanted, like, the title for this talk is Amateur Hour is Over.
Yeah. So they're identifying the dissidents. That's what you're saying. It's not enough.
Exactly. Well, it's not identifying the dissidents. It's luring all the dissidents into one platform.
Yeah, I know, but every time you watch it, my 8,000 people, my 8,000 people, they're not after me. They know I'm posting, but I've got, I think, 8,000 something subscribers, and they're going, okay, who are these people? Let's watch these people. And so this is how they're,
So that's the network effects. That didn't really, I mean, so Substack didn't always have that notes functionality, which really transformed them into a full-blown social media platform with an algorithm and all that sort of stuff.
That is tragically beautiful, man.
Yep. So that's exactly what it is, right? So now you also need to understand, and it is important, and we always knew that, but it didn't click. I didn't connect the dots. So we need to understand who's behind Substack. right? So we know, like, the CEO, Best, and Amish McKenzie and all this sort of stuff, but they're puppets. Like they're like just like the figureheads.
Yeah.
Who's actually behind Substack?
Yeah.
Let's see
Yeah.
if anyone knows. Let's see. Let's try in the code. Who's actually behind Substack?
I hate to be the one to guess, but let's see what they come up with. But I'm guessing. Yay, yay, yay. This
It's not
is
that hard.
so,
It's not secret information. It's not like something secret that I found out in some, like,
yeah. For those watching though, if because someone here 70, where was she? COVID scamdemic. You just said you can't get on. Well, if we're putting everything, we've got close stack. So we've put everything there. So it's just a blog, really, but everything we put on Substack is there. You can go there with no age verification. So for now, that's safe harbor just for now. For how long, I can't tell you. But feel free to go
so,
there. So who do we
so yeah.
think?
So you see
So
live,
let's
like,
see.
and more stories like that. And I received, like, reports about, like, people who subscribe to a Midwestern doctor, right? It's a very big Substack with, like, a lot of paid subscribers, right?
Yeah.
Paid subscribers in Australia. They can't
Yeah.
access their account at all, so they can't even cancel the paid subscription.
Wow.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And they try to
Yeah.
reach Substack support, and Substack support is saying, "Oh, look, we can't do anything because each like, publisher connects their Stripe account independently," which is true, right? So we can't do anything. Reach out to the publisher. Do you know what I mean? Now,
Yeah.
Stripe, if like, people start doing chargebacks, Stripe is really going to screw you over, because regardless of fault, first of all, you get charged $15 per chargeback. Get 10 of those, get 100 of those, and you're significantly out of pocket.
Wow.
People don't know that. But anyway, let's go back. Let's go back to who is actually behind Substack. Okay. So Substack in 2017 or 18, I think they started in 2017. In 2018, they received Series A seed funding from a VC firm.
Wait on.
Called Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z. Now, people may not be familiar with that company, right? Or with that VC firm. They may be familiar with one of his founders, so the Andreessen in Andreessen Horowitz, which is Mark Andreessen, commonly also known as Egghead, because it literally looks like an egghead. So I don't know if people are familiar with that, but we're talking about, like, serious heavy hitters. Now, I invite people, as we talk now, like, Google A16Z and look at their portfolio and see what else they've invested in. So if you do that, you'll find out that they've been on the ground floor of pretty much every name in big tech that you know, including
Wow.
Facebook, including Airbnb, including Coinbase, including Stripe. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now,
yeah.
Mark Andreessen, right? Other than obviously being an Uber billionaire, and I think he was involved in Netscape. He created, I think, was one of the people behind Netscape Navigator, right? He's like, a technocrat. He's a like, transhumanist technocrat, like basically on the same level as Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. So he's heavily involved in the second Trump administration, right? He chose a lot of his, like, tech czars. He made, like, significant financial contributions to the campaign. So he has significant influence. Now, what does that mean? That means that if Substack was fair income, and they actually were about freedom and not just talking about it, like, like Chris Best published this opinion piece in the Telegraph, right? Oh, we're about freedom, and this age verification legislation is censorship. But you know what? It's your legislation, so we're going to comply. That's literally what he said. That's literally
I know.
Opinion piece.
I
mean, this is gaslighting. I mean, par excellence. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say here is that they have some serious backing, like some serious muscle. So what they could have done was said, no, we're not complying. We
Yeah.
haven't been designated. We don't comply. We don't know anything, right? No English Fly Monday, right? And then if like Karen or the Australian government or the UK government or someone tries to give them hard time, Chris Best rings Mark Andreessen. Mark Andreessen rings the president of the United States and says, I have this American company, proudly American, right? American icon, America, that's being hassled by the Australian government. Sort it out. That's the power behind Substack. It's not
Wow.
Chris Best and Hamish McKenzie.
Yeah. Wow.
So, not only they didn't do that, they rolled over voluntarily.
I know.
Right? You could argue that, the thing in the UK automatically applied to them as soon as it started, even though I think that's also not true. But in Australia, it came out completely out of the blue. Nobody told him to do anything.
No.
Julie never mentioned them at any point. They were never mentioned on any government website. Nothing. And not only that, and they've rolled out something really nasty, like an age verification thing that is really, really nasty. And they lied, right? Where they said, oh, don't worry about it. Paid subscribers will not be affected. They're all already verified. Bullshit.
Yeah.
So, what's the lesson from that? Right?
That is the idea that you're bringing forward now.
That's the idea that I'm bringing forward. But that's, I guess, and I said that to you before we went on air. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. But I mean, really prepare. Not just say that. Not just, oh, look, if the worst happens, I'll think about it. Then I'll figure things out. Actually prepare. Actually make the effort. Actually put the groundwork. Actually put all the infrastructure in place.
Yeah.
Now, specifically about my idea. So my idea is related predominantly to the independent media space. Now, I think we can all agree, right? Maybe we're both biased, but let people make their own judgment. That I think we all learned over the last couple of years how important independent media is. How truly important. It is literally a matter of life and death.
Yes.
Literally a matter of life and death, right?
Yep.
If there was no independent media at the start of the pandemic and during the mandates, a lot more people would have taken the jab and would have been injured or worse now. There's no doubt about it. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Right? So we understand how important it is. Another thing that we've also learned, or that I've learned, unfortunately, during this time, is not everyone in independent media is independent as they say. That's one thing. Another thing, and that's unfortunate also, but it is what it is. Independent media is a tough business, right? Nobody gets into that to become a millionaire, and you constantly have to think how you're gonna find yourself and justify the time that you're putting into doing this kind of work. That also means that you become very, very vulnerable for approaches by various sponsors, advertisers, and investors.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the advertisers and sponsors place, I will specifically name the wellness company because I've done it many times before. And if people don't know what's the problem with the wellness company, that's a whole different discussion. If you want, you can include some stuff in the show notes. I can include in mine. But there's a lot of material about who and what is the wellness company, who's behind it, who's Foster Colson, what other stuff is invested in. There's been a lot of work done by people much brighter than me, and it is freaking mind-blowing. Okay? And the network that they have built, pretty much every big name that you can think of, and a lot of the smaller ones have either been approached by them or have been onboarded.
Yeah.
Now, another tactic, and I can't talk about it too much, unfortunately, because we're still trying to sort things out. But there are also the investors, the benevolent investors, right, who come in and want to help independent media. And initially, they come and offer a lot of money and
I know one major Australian. I won't say their name, but they suddenly were being flown around the world, first class. They were just bathed in money. In fact, I remember them reaching out to me and saying, "Listen, I could pay you for your stories on the road. And I'm thinking, wow, this, and then suddenly it all went. I don't know what happened, but I can guess. But this is really interesting. Yeah.
So initially, let me say, oh, look, it's just like I really like, it's all about freedom for me, and I support freedom, and like, I just want to support independent media so that you can survive and thrive, and then other things start happening, right? I'm not gonna get beyond that, but let's just say that there's a lot of examples like that, not just in Australia, right? The specific individuals involved in that. I'm not gonna say more than that. So what I'm trying to say that we're very, very vulnerable from a financial perspective.
Yeah.
And we're also very, very vulnerable from a platform perspective.
Yes.
Right? Because all our stuff that we're doing is like, we're building a house on rented land. The landlord can evict us at any time. Right?
Yeah.
And even platforms that we think are pro-freedom. Let's start and go through like some of the pro-freedom. Okay.
Let's just stop there for a sec, because I had to deal with this here suddenly. Robyn, who I work with, I've been working with, she's locked off Substack, which was the real shock, and we're posting about that. And then we started looking for alternatives. I think there was Beehive, Ghost, but then we were thinking, hey, these are all global platforms. We're just inviting the same problem. We can't do this. It's basically, who's to know? Like, I'm just verifying what you say. If we got onto Beehive and we're paying to be on there, and everyone came across, but a month, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, they do the same thing. So we have to have something different, which is what your idea, I say, is you're going to post. Yeah.
Okay. So just to clarify, because it is important for people to understand, something like Beehive, actually Beehive maybe, but say, for example, Beehive is really an email newsletter, right? You can still take your content and email. They're very, very similar to Substack in that sense. But here's an example. The big contrast is between, say, something like Buy Me a Coffee, right? So I think Robyn moved to Buy Me a Coffee, and something like Ghost. There's a big difference between the two. Why? Because Buy Me a Coffee is a platform. Not only that, the setup of Buy Me a Coffee is even more problematic from the payment perspective. Why? Because Buy Me a Coffee is set up, and there's other platforms that are set up like that, like Spotify, and there's a bunch of others. It's set up through something called Stripe Express. What does that mean? It means that there is a master Stripe account operated by the platform, and you have your own, like, kind of sub account within that, right? That you basically get paid through. Now, what does that mean in practical terms? It means in practical terms, compared to like something like Substack, if you leave Substack, you can take your paid subscribers with you fairly easily.
Yeah.
If you leave Buy Me a Coffee, you cannot.
Wow.
Because you do not control the payment relationship directly. It goes to the platform. So that is one thing. Now, Ghost is a completely different thing. Ghost, the best, I guess, comparable to Ghost would be WordPress. Why?
Would be what, sorry?
WordPress.
Oh, WordPress. Yes. Yeah.
Why? Because Ghost and WordPress, they're not platforms. They're pieces of software that you run yourself.
Yeah.
Either on a managed hosting service, or a private, a virtual private server, or dedicated server, or freaking like, bare metal, like, server you have in your garage, whatever, however you want to run it and access the internet. So it is software that you control. It is free to use, right? It is open source software, so everyone also knows how it's built. Like, everything is transparent, and everything that happens within it is like you are fully in control. And like, you, for example, you run on WordPress. If you had to move to another hosting provider tomorrow, you can do that relatively easily. So take your WordPress site, literally, it's like again, if we use the house and block of land analogy, so you have your house, okay, you have to move it to another block of land, you put it on a trailer, and then move it to another block of land, put it down, and then there it is.
Yeah.
Ghost is exactly the same. Ghost is different. From a technical perspective, it has like a little bit different requirements, and I don't want to get into that. but comparing Ghost to Beehive, or even Buy Me a Coffee or Substack, obviously, that's not fair comparison. Ghost needs to be compared to something like WordPress, okay? Because it is a software that allows you to build your own platform. Yes, Buy Me a Coffee, I believe, takes 5%. Substack takes 10%. That's fine. I mean, that's the revenue model, right? I mean, in the case of Substack, that also makes them vulnerable, right? So here's the thing. We need to move from this, like, hopping between platforms. Why do I mean by that? This is literally amateur hour. Why? Because we're trying to do like some serious things, right? We're trying to save the country. We're trying to, like, communicate a message, and all of a sudden this shit happens, and we have to figure out, okay, which platform are we going to go to next? And I noticed the conversation that is happening, like, after all this Substack fiasco happened, and even, like, the mind frame that people have is wrong, because they think, okay, what is the next platform? Are we going to move to, like, I don't know, there's a new one now and whatever, like, which platform are we moving to next? No, you're not moving. That's wrong. That's the amateur hour. The serious operation is when you have your house and your block of land, and own everything and everything around it, and then you have a fence that you also own, and then there's other things around you that also owned by you, and nobody can touch you, right? Yeah. So how does that look in the independent media space, for example? That is just one variation. So you create a professional media network that can rival anything that legacy media has. That includes broadcasting capabilities, video, audio, text, print magazine, right? Whatever else you want to do, like, radio. A lot of it, like, initially, like, we'll obviously rely on the internet, but we also need to think about a situation where the internet may be cut off or access may be restricted. And this is not a conspiracy theory. I mean, look at what's happening in Iran right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So the internet can actually be shut down, right? Yeah. It used to be a lot harder to shut down the internet, but because it has become so centralized over the last 20 years or so, it is actually quite easy, right? And even, like, Elon Musk, he said, oh, I'm going to send Starlink terminals. That's great, right? But unless you're going to drop them from, like, helicopters or from planes, he still has to come to the Iranian border, controlled by the Iranian government. So they're just going to confiscate that. And there's, like, images, like, that you can see online of, like, millions of these terminals that have been confiscated by the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, right? So we do need to think also about a situation where the internet is not there. But let's start with an initial setup. How an initial setup will look like. An initial setup, think about similar like Netflix, right? Streaming platform that you can access on your computer, on your phone, on whatever, smart TV, whatever you want, right? And there's scheduled programming and also a catch-up catalog. So anything that is live streamed is recorded and available as a catch-up catalog. But it's not on Rumble. It's not on BitTrue. It's not on YouTube. It's your platform, right? Which you own 100%. And what you can do, you can also add a community aspect to it. Right? So the community inside, integrated into that. And there's full, like, community capabilities, not just comments, but you can create groups around topics, around individual shows, around individual people. People can submit their video questions, audio questions, everything. So it's fully integrated, and everything, and how you fund it, everything is behind a paywall. But, and here's the kicker, you make it affordable to anyone and everyone. And the idea is that you go for scale. And that requires all of us, like, independent, truly independent, like, media and content creators, to actually join forces and work together and agree to work together in a certain framework. And we can get into the details if you want. And combine our audiences instead of each of us trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to fund ourselves and running around and buy me a coffee and buy me a tea and buy my merch and give me a donation and all that sort of stuff. No,
Yeah.
we combine forces, right? And just to give people an idea of the numbers, right? So what do you mean by affordable? I'm proposing one single price structure and everyone pays the same. $5 a month or $50 a year. Almost anyone can afford that. You can't get a paid streaming service for that price. But the idea is that you go for scale. And that's also a good opportunity for us to actually figure out how big our community across Australia and New Zealand is.
Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Right? Because people have to actually, okay, come up and okay, we're doing this. Are you going to support that? Now,
Yeah.
if there's 500,000 of us across Australia and New Zealand, which I am confident that there are, you do the numbers. Multiply that by $5 a month or $50 a year. If there's 1 million of us, now that allows us to do some serious things. And just, I guess, how I came up with that idea, because one operation that is actually quite interesting, and I don't know if many people in Australia are familiar with them. So 6 News Australia, it's that network that run by kids, and I think the founder, I don't know his name, I think is Leo Puglisi or something like that.
No,
and he's anyway, so 6 News Australia, right? He started it when he was 14. I think his dad was in the industry, so maybe he helped him.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at it, and these are kids, they're literally the kids, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a professional operation. This is a professional, this is for real, right? And I mean, they get mentioned in Parliament, and they interview politicians,
Wow.
they actually get taken seriously, even though they're kids, they're kids,
Yeah.
they're teenagers, right?
Yeah.
But here's one big weakness that they have. They run on the model that is problematic, which is they run their platform through YouTube and fund their operations to Patreon.
Okay. Yep.
So that is a problem. So we take that, but we make it better.
Yeah.
And then
How much-
it allows us, once that thing is in place, you can expand to more. You can expand full radio, network. And initially it can be internet radio. Then you can do proper airwaves, right?
Yeah.
Print magazine, a series of print magazines. Our own publishing house, right? So for example, I think Whitney Webb, they started their own publishing house. I think it's called Paperback or something like that. And they're doing a print magazine, right? So, and in Australia, we have, Robyn is the editor, right? The Light Australia, right? So we take the Light Australia, but the Light Australia is free, right? So they have to rely on advertising. And I think that also limits how much, how much content they include in it in each edition because of cost and stuff like that. No, this is a separate subscription. So that's not included. If you don't want the digital content, you prefer reading things, fine, subscribe to the magazine. Full, color, professional setup. Again, if you subscribe for a year, you get a discount instead of paying per annum. No ads. You get something professional with investigations, with exposés. And even what I'm saying, the streaming platform, it doesn't have to be just podcasters or interviews or news. It can be proper network, our own entertainment, music shows, documentaries.
Yeah.
When you start, just to give people the idea, and this is not wild numbers, but 1 million people times 5.
Yeah, I get
that's
it.
$5 million a month. That
Yeah.
allows us to do some serious thing.
Yeah.
Really serious thing.
And to grow.
And create a platform that we cannot be canceled from. We can only be canceled from that platform because it's ours. We own it. It's ours. We've created everything. We control everything. You cannot cancel us.
Yeah.
Right? You can kick us out from the App Store. Fine. We'll find a way around that. There's ways around that. Obviously, you can shut down the internet. Yes. That's a vulnerability.
Do that.
And we do. Everything is possible.
Yeah, I know. They're not going to do that at the moment because there's so many businesses, hospitals. It'll literally have to have war in the streets, I think, before.
I hope you're right. Yeah, I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
I hope so. Yeah, I agree.
One of the lessons that we've learned is they can operate very, very quickly because the people who run the show obviously not Albo, right, or ScoMo, or these. these are clowns, right? I mean, the people who actually run the show, they know what they're doing, and they've done it before. They have a recipe. They know what they need to do, right?
Yeah.
The people who run the show here are the same people who run the show in Iran, and the same people who run the show in the United States, and the same people who run the show in Russia and in China and in everywhere. That's what people need to understand. We also, I guess, like, with this amateur hour, we constantly you think, oh, if one side are the bad guys, then the other side are the good guys, right? Putin bad, so Ukraine are the good guys, or you are the bad guy. It doesn't work like that, right? It's like for people to understand, it's like two teams, in a sports match, that both have the same coach, and the same coach is coaching both sides at the same time.
That's why we have a uni party in Australia.
Understand. So this is another aspect of the amateur hour, and it's something that is very, very hard for people to move away from, because human nature is like, we need to understand, okay, who's against who? Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? Okay, we need to figure out, okay, so they're the bad guys. Does that mean they're the good guys? Okay, so I'm going to support them. This is our undoing.
Yeah.
So we need to move away from that, and we need to focus on what we actually need to do.
Can I ask you, how much are you thinking it would cost to initially get it started with this? How much would we have to raise?
So it depends. It depends how we want to set it up. So there's different ways of setting it up. We can set it up initially as just as a proof of concept and to see how it works. It could be like a platform that is a traditional SaaS model, so software as a service, right? So there's a few tools that allow you to do that, even with built-in community, just as a proof of concept to see if this thing is
that
popular
would be
and wanted and want to scale up.
It works and then grow.
Exactly, and then you can set up your own servers. You can create your own freaking data center if necessary. Depends on how much scale you need, and run things like there's plenty of open source software to host podcasts, to run an internet radio, to host videos. There's something called PeerTube, right? There's a whole lot of stuff, and all of that is available. None of that needs to be developed. Now, a platform people may say,
so just slow down. So everything you're saying that we could do is already, it's like on the shelf stuff. So we just get, okay,
ready
we
to
need
go
a radio
now.
station. It's ready to
100%.
go. We need because there's a Substack replacement you can buy and just set up yourself. Kevin, who built Cafe Lockdown's website, or was the current website builder, he said that's it. You could just get that, have your own Substack. It's $45 a month, I think, to run it.
100%.
So these things, it's not like we're reinventing the wheel.
Nothing.
We're just using the tools that are out there for our benefit.
Correct. So all of that is available. It is ready to go, but it does require capital. Now, there's there's three ways to go about it, right? One is rely on advertising and sponsorship and go the same way as Channel 7, Channel 9, and Channel 10. Right? That's very problematic.
I don't. Let's talk about that. I don't think, because we don't have advertisers on this show. I don't think we can, because the advertisers want to protect their product. So that in order to protect their product, they want to make sure that you don't say anything which could make their product look bad.
Correct.
And freedom of speech in these current times is too dangerous for people who are trying to sell products, unless they're our products. So advertisers is not the way to go.
And I'll give you a simple example. I mean, it's not so much prevalent in Australia, even though there are a few examples here. But I mean, in America, MAGA is big business. It is big business. If you're a MAGA conservative commentator on Rumble, whose name is I don't know, there's a bunch of them, right?
Oh yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, they're doing amazing.
You can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna say anything bad about Trump, you're screwed, mate.
Joel Jamal. He went to America, and he said over there, what we're doing in Australia, we're like paupers. He said over there, it's abundance. People like you and I, other podcasters, they're making fortunes. It's really growing well. So it's possible.
But I agree with Joel. But
you have to be on
a lot of that money is coming indirectly. Ultimately, when you go all the way up, you find the likes of Peter Thiel, or Elon Musk or Egghead, and you don't want them controlling you. Mark Andreessen, you don't trust me. You don't want that. So there's the advertising model, there's the investor model, there's the model where, like, you have a small subscription base, but you charge, like, higher prices or tiered pricing, right? And then, like, depends, like, if you pay this, you get this access to this content. If you pay more, you get more content, etc., etc., etc. Or, and this is the model I'm proposing, you go for scale.
Yeah, and flat
Where
rate.
basically no advertisers.
Yeah.
Correct. No advertisers, no investors, everyone pays the same. And we make it affordable to anyone.
Yeah.
That's the key. And then we actually can gauge how big this community is across Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah. Well, look, let's
because
look at
people have to, like, come out and say, "Oh no, I'm an anti-vaxxer." No, mate. Okay, well, are you going to sign up for a subscription and actually help create, like, a platform that will allow us to do this? And I mean, there's different ways you can do you can do that. But initially, what I was thinking, right, is you do a crowdfund just to kickstart this thing. And you put a minimum
They'd
target.
have to have a business set up. Just to pause for a sec. Let's look at it just from business. Forget ideology. Forget why we're doing it.
Yes.
Right at the moment, MSN is in trouble. No one believes them. They've just been seen to be liars, and they've lied so much and hidden so much that if you believe them, it's because you want to believe them because they're making you feel good. But there's no way a rational person could look at MSN now and think that they're telling the truth. I'm not saying that our side has the truth. We don't have the resources, but what we're doing is we're searching for the truth. We're reacting, like you've said this before, we're reacting to news items. I see it all the time. We're reacting to news items with the sort of common sense filter. Listen to this. It doesn't make sense. Listen to this. It does, because we're living in a world of lies. But what we also are doing is that we are at the forefront of an exodus that is happening. People are realizing we live in a world of lies, and these people, they don't claim to have the truth, but they're searching for the truth, and we want to go with them because we want to. We don't want to stay here, and where they're taking is not conducive to our souls. So there is a beautiful hole in the market full of warm people, the children of Epic and more, that are wanting something like this, something where they can come home, they've finished the day, they've had to work with the zombies, and they come home and they switch on, they can go to all their favorite podcasters, find out which one they like, and feel that they're a part of the community. So it gives the community a perch.
100%.
This is who we are.
100%. And it's not even like, you say that, like, we were looking for the truth. But what we were doing, it's not even that. We are committed to the truth. And we may not always get it right. We may be wrong, because finding the truth, I can tell you, is a tough business. It's not easy.
No.
The truth likes to hide, and it likes to play games with you. It's not going to just come out like, it does play very often. It does play very hard to get. It's not just going to come out and say, "Oh, here I am." No. You have to look for it.
Substack is a perfect example.
Correct.
I remember being told, I was on the road early on. They said, "Are you on Substack?" I said, "What's that?" And I did think for a long time, this doesn't make sense. They're censoring us. They're censoring us. They're censoring us. Why isn't Substack censoring us? It was really interesting. I know Robyn got a one warning, but I've never had a single warning. And someone up here said they haven't been asked for age verification. Neither have I yet.
Neither have I.
Yeah, neither have I. So we it's a strange fish, and I just don't trust any of them anymore. So when it happened, it was like, wow, that's disappointing. But I was kind of expecting it. I just didn't expect it for them. But strategically, it makes sense. Because we were saying, oh, Substack's free, Substack won't be affected. So everyone's moving there. And then who's the only platform that they take out? Substack.
Now, let me mention another name. Rumble. Now, when Rumble first started, at the height of the madness, right?
Yeah.
That was their thing, free speech platform. But
Yeah.
many people don't know that. A lot of things have changed with Rumble since then.
Oh, really?
Rumble is a publicly listed company now.
Okay.
Right? Has been
Yeah.
for 3 years now.
Yeah.
Now,
I
what
remember
does that
when it
mean
happened.
if they're a publicly listed company? They have shareholders.
Yeah. But
More
they have-
specifically, they have corporate shareholders. Right? So I encourage everyone now, right? Go to finance.yahoo.com, enter the code, the stock code for Rumble, which is RUM, and look at the top corporate shareholders. Then, in another tab, go to the same website, so finance.yahoo.com, enter the stock code for Google, right, which is the owner of YouTube, obviously. Stock code for that is GUUG, right? It's called Alphabet now, that's the parent entity. Look at their corporate shareholders. Compare the pair, just like the ad. Compare the pair.
Yeah.
And I think people will be quite surprised.
Yeah.
So, Rumble is a free speech platform, yes, because from a commercial perspective, that was their way to get in and compete on YouTube. But Rumble could easily turn into a honeypot as well, or prove to be a honeypot as well. We need to keep that in mind, right? And we also need to understand that Rumble is like, the person obviously behind it, like, Latnik, like, he's like, the Commerce Secretary of the United States, right? And Peter Thiel was one of the earliest investors, right? So we need to understand that there's some things here and things may not be as they seem, right? When, like, the CEO, Chris Pavlovsky, comes out and says, oh, yeah, we're free speech and we won't surrender. And, like, free speech is our thing. Look, maybe that's what maybe he actually means that and he believes in that. But he's not calling the shots. Just like Chris Best is not calling the shots at Substack. The people who call the shots always are the people with the money, the people who fund the operation.
Yeah, exactly. We saw that with Kerry Packer in Channel 9. I remember I think there was Mick Malloy did a show one night on Channel 9. I remember this is very famous. And it was pretty outrageous. He was urinating on a rug. He was showing animals screwing. Yeah, this really happened. It started, there was animals having sex, and it was all like really outrageous. And then he came on and he was going to, or he urinated on a rug, something like that. Kerry Packer, now he never interfered apparently much. He called whoever was in charge of Channel 9 and said, get that shit off my channel. And that's it. They pulled it straight away. So he never used the baton, but when something got him, he raised the baton and that was it. And this is
because it is his platform. It is his platform. Right. You know what? That's actually a good time. If you, I just wanna, I guess, to show people that what we're discussing now, none of it is new, right? No. There's not some like amazing revelations here or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if people heard of a guy by the name of Bill Cooper, right? He gave a lecture, I think it was in Michigan 30 years ago in 1996. There were a lot of good things about it. You can find it on YouTube and everywhere. But I just want to play a small segment of that, right? Which is very pertinent, I think, to the situation that we're in now. And it explains also like why what we're discussing now, there's nothing new about it. Like, it just, the things change. Like if it was like TV stations and radio, now it's the internet. But the concept is exactly the same. So let me just play that. Let me just open that. Sorry. So. All right.
Do you need me to put it up from here?
No. It's all good. It's all good. Just let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it down the bottom.
All right. Let's play.
Truly. What is our common bond truly? Freedom. Freedom. Without freedom, you can't be a Christian no matter what denomination you belong to. You can't be a Buddhist. You can't own a donut shop. You can't drive from here to Oregon. You can't be an American because that's what it's all about, and it's the only thing that it's all about. Nothing else. Nothing else. It's about freedom. Freedom. Only freedom. It means you have to let other people be free, even if they disagree with you. I had a tremendous admiration for the courage of those two communists who had the guts to walk up with their little communist sign and their communist flag, two of them, young people, all alone, in that sea of America, militia, uniformed patriots. And I saw people who wanted to kill them. You know, I don't like their philosophy. They're misled, misguided. Communism is a terrible thing. But they had guts. I had a great respect for them. And I believe in freedom, which means there is no way in the world that we could have had that meeting on your state house grounds this morning unless they had the right to do what they did.
So that's very relevant to all that's happening in Australia. But soon we'll get to the thing specifically about the media. So I'll just play it.
Then you had better understand that. Because if you stop them from having their freedom to make their political statement, you have stopped yourself. You have stopped everyone. And that must never happen in this country. It must never happen in this country. Because if it does, there'll never be another congregation like this, and you'll never hear me speak again because I'll be dead. And so will most of you. This country's about freedom. Because only with freedom can you have all of the other things that everybody professes that they want. It's the only way it can be done.
Now listen what he says now.
I hear all kinds of misconceptions and misstatements. I have the freedom of the press. No, you don't. No, you don't. The man who owns the press has the freedom of the press. And he can say in his press whatever he wants, but you can't. That's why I get angry with Americans when they say, the Jews control the press. Who sold it to them? How'd they get it? You want the press? Start a press. You want to be on the radio? Do it.
Stop it there.
Stop whining.
Yep.
I started Cafe Locked-Out. I want to watch the rest. I started Cafe Locked-Out. I didn't mean you to shut it down. I started Cafe Locked-Out because I read a thing by Václav Havel, and he said exactly the same. I think probably in the 50s or 60s, I don't know. And he said, if the media won't publish your articles, set up your own media. And that's what you're talking about.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about taking it to the next level.
Yeah, that's
and not
right.
running your platform on Rumble and YouTube and Beetroot
So
and
we
stuff
started
like that.
here organically because we didn't know what we're doing. It's just sort of organically been driven by passion and an anger at what was happening. So the oppression we faced actually became the fuel that has kept us going. And knowing that we're doing something and we have a warm audience and now we're here. And so you're saying now and I think I've tried it before, but I don't have the brains or the skills. But now it's taking it to the next level where suddenly here we are. This is an online community, like you said, like a Netflix thing. Here is the freedom. It's almost like an online freedom mall, you know?
And look, I mean, there's a couple of things here. There's also a matter of initially, I think when you started, but even when I started initially, you want to reach the normies. You still want to educate the normies. You want to explain to them what's happening, in the hope of maybe potentially saving people, explaining to people, and also saving yourself because have the numbers on your side. So the whole idea here is we're moving away from that. Sorry.
Oh yeah, let's be honest there. Even before my heart attack, I'd stopped doing that. I realized I wasn't going to wake anyone up. People will wake up when they wake up, and once they're woken up, they might find us. My thing is about celebrating our community and emboldening our community. And basically, there's a lot of division in our community, which I think is driven by paid infiltrators who are being paid to divide us. That just makes logical sense. Why wouldn't you do that? If I was wanting to destroy movement, I had no morals, I'd do that. Here's $100,000. Get in there and disrupt the movement. So, uh, my thing is to celebrate who we are, and then realizing with the philosophy of that is that if we can celebrate being human beings, the other mob who are being basically groomed into being silent hive-minded people will look at us and go, those guys are pretty cool, and start hanging out, or their children might start hanging out because their children won't want to grow up in the oppression. So this is
Maybe.
long-term thinking. But this is what happened in history. In Romania, there was the children of those who had complied that read the revolution. And their parents, I've interviewed them, like that interview I did with that woman. The interview, she said her mother was saying, "Don't go, my son, don't go." And he goes, "I'm going. I'm either coming back free or I'm going to die." I reckon that's happening in Iran at the moment. And so those who comply suddenly see that they've betrayed their children, and now their children are having to do what they could have done peacefully. They're having to face real bullets. We faced rubber bullets. At some point, our offspring will face real, or our great-grandchildren, if this continues, will face real bullets. And so this is,
Oh,
to me, what I was
100%.
trying to
100%.
prevent.
I
Yeah.
think it'll be a lot sooner than that. But here's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, I also kind of changed my thinking. As I said, initially I was trying to reach people, and we need the numbers and we need all of that. But one thing that I think you said and really resonated with me is, look, we need to focus on our community and build the commerce capabilities within our community so that we can be self-sustaining.
Yes.
If the normies want to join us, awesome. If they don't want to and they want to stay in their mass formation and watch Channel 7 and Channel 9 and Amazon Prime and let their brain keep rotting, that's also fine. And that's what I'm saying. You people, you're actually going to pay to watch this content. Not a lot, but you're going to pay, because we're not trying to reach the masses anymore. We're trying to find a situation where we can be self-sustaining, right? And media is a crucial function in a free society. It is what defines a free society by definition, right? That's what
actually, you know what? The ideology of that could put us in an empowered position if it came to advertisers. Because we say, you want to advertise with us, you have to follow this ideology.
Potentially, but I do encourage, look, I mean, I think ultimately, I think this is a model that can be without advertising. Advertisers create a lot of problems, because if later on, you advertise someone and they scammed you, right, or scammed your audience, reflects bad on you. It's a bad thing. Or the product or service is not as described. It opens a lot of problems, right? For example, I mean, Bill Cooper, what he did, initially, and he was he was doing it as a radio show. So before the internet, right? Before podcasts, right? So he did he needed to buy satellite, right? To broadcast his feed, right? And that obviously very, very expensive, right? So he couldn't afford it. Initially he paid out for it out of his own pocket, but then he couldn't afford it. So then he went and he said, okay, well, is the audience going to fund it directly? I think he tried, it didn't really work out. So it's okay, well, I need to find a sponsor. But what he did is, instead of fishing for multiple sponsors, he found one sponsor, vetted them for months, and then kept the same sponsor for years, right? So that's another model that you can do, but that requires significant effort, right? And basically he said, all you're gonna do, you're not gonna pay me a salary, because he never he actually never paid himself, right? I don't know how, I don't know what he, how he sustained himself, but he never paid himself. All he did is I need you to pay for the satellite time, for the satellite feed, because that's very expensive and I can't afford it, right? So that's what he did. So, I mean, if we listen to the rest of the conversation, then you'll understand what he says there. So let me just, I'll just return to that. We don't have much left. Because it is very, very interesting, because it's 30 years ago. And this could have been now. I mean, the technology has changed.
That could be right now.
Could be right now. Right.
Absolutely.
And you said something about like, infiltrators and like, control the position within the freedom movement. There's another thing that he said even earlier in 1991. And again, it's as if, you could say it now. So let me just finish playing that, and I'll then play the other stuff. The other one is literally 1 minute. So let's continue from here.
Stop bitching, complaining. That guy that owns the press, that's his press. He can do with it what he wants.
So the press is obviously a platform now, right? So that the press is YouTube, the press is Rumble, the press is Substack.
Just like you do with your car what you want because it's your property. He doesn't owe you anything unless you've got a contract with his signature on it that says he will print what you say. If you can't produce that, he doesn't owe you anything. That's America. You know what's wonderful about America? You can have a press. I have a press. How many of you have seen my newspaper? That newspaper is no joke. It makes congressmen cringe when they see it. It scares the hell out of the enemy. You too can have a radio show. I'm going to teach you how just here in just a couple of minutes. You too can publish books like this. I did it. The Harvest Trust is the trust for my children. I'm not rich. I don't have anything. You know how I financed this book? I sold copies before it was printed to people who believed enough in me to buy them. I don't have any money. I have my family. That's all the wealth I ever need. I don't make any money from my radio show. Veritas has operated in the red from the beginning. They probably always will. But I got something that you don't have. I have a free press. It's mine. And I get to say what I want.
Yeah.
And I get to publish what I want and print what I want because it's mine.
Yeah.
And I'm free. And it's my free press. That's why
right here.
Somebody calls up my radio
I
show.
love
and says,
this guy.
So
Can I tell you something amazing before we go on, right? So the bus is 1987. Most of the images and interviews we do are done on this phone, which is a $250 phone Kelly picked up from a supermarket. We have a couple of old microphones. We have 3 laptops. This one has a broken screen, so I'm using a TV as the screen. Another one just died on us recently, has no heater. Another one is dodgy, so we have one good one that Kelly uses, and I'm not allowed to touch it because I'm thing. Even though we have that, and we live on this frugal thing of just trying to peddle anything we can because we really believe in what we're doing. And the last 28 days, we reached over 6 million people. And now we live in the road, in the bus, because I thought I'm a podcaster. If I'm living in a house, I've got to pay rent on a house. And then how can I really see Australia if I'm stuck in the one room? I'm just in a little bubble. Well, now I'm on the road traveling town to town and I'm hearing things. I'm trying to verify a story at the moment. And I'll just I'll ask for any verification. We're already asking, John Stapleton's going to ask the immigration minister. We've asked Malcolm Roberts and stuff. We're going to town, and these new migrants are buying up all the businesses in these towns. They're buying all of them, the cafes, the fast food stores, and I've got nothing against them. You give people an opportunity. These are hardworking, industrious people. They're grabbing the opportunity. Like he said, we're letting them buy it. They're buying it. But what they believe is the rumor, we've heard it from 3 towns now, that the way that these migrants are buying them is they get a one-off $40,000 crisis payment from the government and they combine it, and that's how they're buying the businesses. And the businesses get no help. And in these towns, the homeless, which are all white people and a few Aborigines, no new migrants, are everywhere. There's a story out today of a father who's basically, I think, died after 2 years of being homeless, waiting for a house. And so this is the stories you find on the road, talking to people in the streets, in the cafes they come up. So it's worth me being out here. We can survive, we can keep this bus going, and we find stories, and then I'm connected to other podcasters. Sometimes Hoodie and Lada take our stories, and we even have some mainstream journalists quietly who take our stories. You know what I mean? But apart from that,
Right.
that's possible to do on literally breadcrumbs.
Yep.
And literally breadcrumbs, and you don't need a huge investment. You just need to love what you're doing, and take the blessings as they come. And
And
so,
here is exactly the missing piece to take it to the next level. So you mentioned you reach 6
yeah,
million people. Great, awesome. But if you lose your Rumble account and Twitter
yeah,
account and Substack
yeah,
account, just like you lost your Facebook account, your
yeah.
reach is zero. So the
Well,
next
yeah,
level,
like
you continue what you're doing.
my Facebook account was 100,000, and it's just now we've got about 5, and they'd taken our follow button away 2 years before, so no one had been able to like us for 2 years. So we would have been about 200,000, but we've got 3 or 4 Facebook accounts now. You put them all together, and we're back to where we were, which means we could lose them at any moment. Because I notice now I'm suddenly getting restrictions again. They don't even tell me why. I'm just
But that
they
is an
go, you
operation
can't do
that
that.
we cannot. This is a setup that we
Yeah, I
cannot
can't do anything
continue
about
to
it.
tolerate anymore. We cannot
I
continue to
can't do
tolerate
anything
anymore.
about it.
And I'll give you
So we've got
another
that
example.
WordPress is it. The WordPress, the website itself is starting to become the base. And I've never realized that till recently, till Kevin said, look, we can set it up on your Facebook, on your website, and suddenly realizing, okay, I get it. Yeah, maybe we can do it. And this is our fort. And then we do to these other things. But if they get done, oh well, fuck yeah. We're here. We've got
So that's the
the
setup.
shelter from the store.
That's the setup. Now let's talk about the
Yeah.
content, right? So
Yeah.
here's the thing. So that event that happened in Bondi, obviously major event, and a lot of
Yeah.
independent media, they did great job, covering it. A lot of people went live and covered that, right? But what did they actually do? All they did was show footage and images and reporting from legacy media. And not because they're lazy, but because they've got nothing else.
Yes.
Right?
They don't have the resources to go
can
there.
you
Yeah.
how can you actually understand what's going on there, where there were a lot of irregularities and things that didn't make any sense going on there? And obviously, SBS or Channel 7 or Channel 9, they're not going to talk about it. They're going to peddle the narrative that has been agreed in advance so that, Albo can push his hate speech legislation and gun laws. I mean, that's how it operates. I mean, this is basic stuff, right?
Well, that's why he brought up right wingers on the day.
Right.
You know?
So here's the thing that is missing. We need to have our own crew, like actual professional crew on the ground, reporting live, talking to the eyewitnesses, talking to people who are there and saying, the police didn't come for 10 minutes. And the police station is right there up the road. I can run in 5 minutes to the police station. And anyone who knows Bondi knows where the police station is and knows what I'm saying is true. Right. And then you hear you see this clip of the shooter, right? And he's shooting for 10 minutes and you hear sirens blazing, but there are no cops, right? And then you have this guy that I think the fruit shop owner,
the hero guy,
right? So there's so many things that don't make sense there at all, right? So you need to have people on the ground that have our kind of mindset, that understand the government lie, that understand that things don't just happen. That understand and we said that, and you mentioned that just before we went on air. The first thing when any event like that happens, when this happens, when October 7 happens, when Ukraine happened, when 9/11 happened, anything like that, the first question, the most important question, or not even the only question, who benefits?
Who benefits?
Who benefits? Yeah. No legacy media is going to ask that question ever, because that's actually leading you to the actual truth, and that's leading you to the
truth. I don't want to go there.
They're not in that business, but we are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
right.
So
that's an example. So that's on not just on the technical platform setup thing, but actual from a content production perspective, right? So again, you need resources for that, and you need people who can do that. You need professional camera crew, and we have plenty of within our movement, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, we don't actually need professional camera crew. There's there's so many small cameras now. We have these little Sony ones.
Work too.
they were what's his name uses them. What's his name? Max Freedom. He's just got a little Sony camera. I think he's got the next model up. It's only this big, microphones, little Rode microphones.
Perfect.
It's actually able to produce content now, like this in this image above me. That mine's holding up his mobile phone. That mobile phone is the one of these, even if it's cheap, are one of the most powerful tools on the internet. You can record it. There's a program now. We're using Adobe. We've got rid of Adobe now because we use CapCut. It's a fraction of the cost, works better. You can use it on your computer. You can use it on your phone. So you take videos and do it, post it, gone. Like even just to add variety, because we've been trying to add some variety to what we're doing. So we've got the single show coming up. That'll happen next week. There's a lot of interest in that. And that's just to bring some lightness to our community. Instead of all bad, 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 it's just say, let's have some fun. I've been taking images of Kel on the road to show an image of this beautiful woman in this beautiful Australia to remind people what you're fighting for. This is your country. Huge amounts of space. You might never see this, but it's here. All of that done. She wears $10 op shop dresses, all done with a cheap camera. You don't need a huge investment in what would you say, these sort of products and huge cameras to make this work. You know,
I
what
agree.
I mean?
I agree. But here's the thing. I agree. Yeah, you're right. You're right. What I guess what I was trying to say is what you do need is you do need people who like this is their
know what
profession.
they're doing.
It's not something. No, it's not like something that they do on the side and collect a
No.
bunch of like donations
Yeah,
and
I
buy
agree.
me a coffee.
They need to know what
This
they're
is
doing.
what they do. And this
Yeah.
is a crucial function in a free society, like an actual free press that is going to
Yeah.
tell you the truth, or at least try its damn best to get to the truth.
Yeah.
Like without that, we would like. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I come from a technology background. In my wildest imagination, you would have told me 5-6 years ago that I'll be interested in doing anything in the media space. You told me that 5 or 6 years ago, I said, mate, you need to get some professional help. But I realized
I'm the same.
I realized how important this function is.
Yeah.
It is literally a matter of life and death.
Yeah.
Like in an information warfare, which is what fifth generation warfare is. This is what we're in. This is what we've been in, at least for 5 years, but I would argue maybe even 20 years, right? Maybe since the internet started. I don't know. Maybe even before that. Like we are literally the warriors. We are the tip of the spear.
Yeah, we are. I agree.
So
I don't.
so
I'm not of the belief now that any white hat coming.
One hand is tied behind our back, and we constantly need to think, okay, well, if this platform shuts us down, what are we gonna do? We're gonna go to that. You know what I mean? It's like you can't continue like that.
Yeah,
it's not sustainable.
We have some. I tell you one thing though. There is an issue we're facing. We because. So in 2022, when I was going around with Cret and Wendy, we were doing the Deplorables tour, going town to town, interviewing people. I said to a web designer guy who was helping us, Steve, I said, listen, we're constantly getting banned. We're constantly getting shadow banned or just suspended, and people are having to find us on different channels. And it'd be great if we could build our own Facebook. I said, is that even possible? And he came back, he said, actually, it is. And he built Close Social. And we had 5,000 people. I think Matilda TV was the same thing. Some people told me Sarah. So that was set up on the same software. And initially we had 5,000 people. Everyone got into it, but no one would talk on there. If for some reason they had everything that Facebook had, even at a marketplace, people didn't use it. They just post stuff and they'd stay silent. No comments, no this. Then we thought, I actually lost interest in it because there was never anything happening there. And to date, I don't understand why. Where they were hating Facebook, they were getting, I hate Facebook, but they were all there. And here was a place. So maybe it was too early in the piece. Maybe it was too early on and people didn't know what was happening. 6 years on now, maybe now's the time for something like that. You know, that now we're older, we're better, and we realize this ain't stopping. They've got big plans for us, and they're not good plans. So now it's more important to see that we need to do this. You know, it could just be a time.
It
matter
could be
of
a
time.
time. It could also be. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it looked like. It could be a matter of UI and UX, so user interface and user experience. Could be that as well. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't good, but it's also like, you know. I mean, it was positioned as a social media platform, right? That for us, right? Okay, great, but people don't need necessarily another social media platform, right? That should not be the focus. That should be the
Oh
add-on.
no, I agree. I agree with what you're
The
saying.
focus
Yeah,
should be always a content distribution platform, whether it's
yeah,
written, video, audio, whatever, right?
yeah,
Print books, print magazines, doesn't matter, right?
yeah,
So that's what I'm saying. So the concept is Netflix, but with social media. So the content comes first, right? And you can have like a set schedule, like, you know, just like, you know, you had on your channel on Rumble, there's like a broadcasting schedule of, like, you know, people going live, and then obviously it's recorded, available on demand for people to watch it anytime.
sure.
But not on Rumble, but on your own platform. Plus, there's a built-in community feature that people can discuss the content, discuss whatever. Instead of going to Facebook, they go there, but there's also content for them to consume, right?
Yeah.
It becomes a hub, right? This is something
Yeah,
that
I
people
get
will
it.
pay. There's also a matter of, like, you know, there's resources in creating, running, and managing it, right? And developing it, right? Now, if we are, like, you know, and that's why we need to, like, you know, join forces, like, you know, the power is in numbers in this sense, because if each of us, like, you know, try and figure out our own platform and try and fund it in our own way, well, look, that's great. And maybe, like, you know, people will be able to support a multitude of creators, but when times are tough and people have limited amount of money, like a lot of people tell me, and then, like, you know, that's a very valid argument. They say, look, I've got my budget maximum is support, like, it's $20 a month to support independent media or independent content creators, and that's perfectly fair enough, right? So that means in the current setup, right, depends on your pricing, but let's say everyone charges $5 a month, so they can support 4. With this one, they only need to support 1, and they get by orders of magnitude more.
Yeah. No, I get it. I think that's a great idea.
We on our side have significantly more resources. That is the power of scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we
totally
literally
agree.
we can wipe. We're already to a large extent wiping the floor with legacy media, but they just have all these, like, you know, the gadgets and the gizmos and the distribution channels. Like, they don't care if Rumble bans them tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need to be in that situation as well, and we can. The internet allows us to do that, right?
Yeah.
But we need to be strategic, and we need to scale up, because once we scale up, we have more resources as, like, you know, the people behind, like, you know, this venture, and the people on the other side who fund it, they pay a lot less and get a lot more.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily, like, you know, just like you have on your own, like, you know, channel, we don't necessarily have to agree with each other on everything. Like, you know, some people maybe pro Trump, against Trump.
Important.
You know, they hate the Jews, they hate the Muslims, they do this, they do this. But as long as everyone committed to actual truth, right? And everyone is committed, like, not falling for the government narrative, and committed to encouraging critical thinking, committed to building a new culture that puts freedom above all else. That's why I played the first part, because, like, a lot of people are saying, like, you know, and there's a little bit of an identity crisis in Australia, and I think it maybe happens in a lot of other, like, you know, migrant based, like, you know, countries, like maybe Canada, the US. What is this country about, right? And then people say, oh, well, it's a Christian nation, or it's a white nation, or it's this, or it's that. Well, okay, but, like, I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean that if you're not white or you're not Christian, you can't be part of that just because of your race or because of what you believe or don't believe in? I don't know. That's a conversation that needs to be had. But I would say, as Bill Cooper said in the video, what is our common bond truly? And I think if we don't understand that after 5 years, then we're in serious trouble. And our common bond is freedom.
Yes.
Because if you don't have that, you cannot practice any religion, and it doesn't matter what race you are.
Yeah.
Right? And ultimately, what is happening now is not directed at the Jews or at the Muslims or at the whites or at the blacks or at the yellows. It's directed at everyone, taking everyone's freedom. Right? And that actually, that perfect segue. Let me just play that second clip is literally just 1 minute, and
Sure.
and that is very, very good. Let me just do this. That's even earlier. So that's Bill Cooper.
We
I
even
think
saw Kelly showed me something today about these new hate speech laws where they think, if they think, Michael, we think you're thinking of doing this, they can arrest you and jail you.
Correct.
This is
Correct.
thought crime.
Correct.
This is what we've got now.
Correct. And this is going to get worse.
I still can't see it. Have you put it up?
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'm just putting it up now. Yeah, sorry, you were
All right.
talking. I didn't go on. Interject. All right, so let's have a listen. And remember, this is 1991, and this could be right now. Listen to what he's saying.
Is beyond my understanding. And Republicans and libertarians and populists and communists and socialists and this and that, and blacks and whites and the Indians, and there are so many sects and groups and segments, and we're so fragmented that getting together is going to really be difficult. But we've got to do it. Because if we don't wake up and do it ourselves, these men who meet in secret and plot the manipulations are going to do it whether we want it or not. They're going to do it at the point of a gun. And they're going to take away everybody's freedom because they don't consider us responsible,
capable of having that freedom,
are capable, or even of using our intellect. So they'll put us in shackles and control us and force us to be peaceful. That's what the plan is, and that's what the New World Order is all about.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk, Freds, that there's someone else wants to come on and talks about new laws in Victoria, I think, saying that if you're living on a property and the government thinks you're unsafe on that property, they'll just take you off the property, pay you what they think it's worth, and then take it. So they've moved up a gear substantially in the last few months. And I believe the COVID was basically just Act 1. And now we're going into Act 2. And this is going to be serious. And Act 3, the outcome, that's up for us. There's more of us than them, so we can win this. But we can't win if we're going to just comply and stay silent and hope it all goes away.
I agree with you. I agree with you with one minor difference. I don't think there will be Act 3. This is it.
Well, Act 3 in the thing is usually the resolution. You know what I mean?
Well,
so
I mean, they are going.
Win.
So Michael, obviously, they're going now for the digital ID and controlling speech and controlling thought. And
they win that, we're done for a while.
If they ram this through, it is done.
Yeah.
You and I are not going to have these conversations anymore.
No, not at all. Not at all.
We're going to be sitting in a digital gulag with something to control our thoughts.
Yeah, and we're going to be in jail. They can go back in 5 years. So I'm finished. They go back 5 years to my podcast. They'll easily find something that they say, okay, that's hate speech. That's this, a joke or something, all the goat. Yeah.
I think if anything, Act 1 was probably 9/11. COVID was Act 2.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
And now we're in Act 3. This is it. This is the closing act. This is curtain. You come from the theater background, you know exactly what I mean. This is the final act.
Races coming up to it, but it's a worthy fight. That's what I'm saying. If you want to say why be in it, why are we in it? We're not getting any money out of it. We're not going to become millionaires. People are frightened of us. Like, we go to caravan parks and we park. People shun us. One or two might come up and go, "Good on you, what you're doing," but the rest are like, and they're terrified because they're scared and they think, if I'm with them, ASIO's going to know about me. So we are.
Just the fact that people think that, right?
Yeah.
People police themselves. Look where we are already.
Right.
Look how bad this is.
I see it around. I tell these people all the time. A vision of Australia now is a conquered race. We've been invaded by an ideology. It's in our souls. And instead of having soldiers marching down our streets, they're patrolling our souls. And people just stay silent. It's like a country of Anne Franks hiding in their fucking attic. Yeah.
It's like that video Utopia. If people haven't watched it yet, they need to watch it. It's like that video on YouTube, like in Australia in like the near future. There are no cops in Utopia. In the world of Utopia, there are no cops, right? Nobody, no police will stop and fine you. People police themselves, right? You misbehave, you get a fine, and it deducts automatically from your bank account. No court, no judges. And people police each other to get 10% commission of the fine.
Yeah.
So This is, if you haven't watched it, you are
Oh yeah, the
absolutely.
Utopia one.
It's
Yeah,
an
I saw that.
Australian.
I saw that short film. That was
It is
brilliant.
mind blowing.
It is
And it's mind
terrifyingly
blowing
brilliant.
because you look, it's just, this could be tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
this to a large extent already here.
Yeah, I actually think we're in 1984. We're in the start of it. Canberra's already in it. If you're, when I was talking to Canberrians, they told me a thing called the golden handcuffs. They get good jobs, good pay, good remuneration, but if they find out they're watching us or they're talking to us, or they came on one of the interviews, or they said something the government doesn't like, gone, finished. See you later. And so they're already caught. You know. Yeah, it's an incredible time to be alive because you've really everyone on the planet has to actually say, why am I here? Am I here just to be a sheep for the rich and the extraordinary rich who will control me, and I just take whatever goodies they give me, and that's my life? Or do I fight for humanity itself and saying, no, we're here to be ourselves, and to be ourselves, we need freedom. That's it. There's no other way to be yourself without unless you're free.
We need to be a self-sustaining community that can sustain itself. And you know, as you said to me, we need to be able to offer, like, you know, people within our community a better fate than, like, you know, being homeless and living in their car.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's right. A lot of our people are working in shitty jobs. They're really struggling, but they're still holding on. I had a professor on the other night. He's lost millions because of his stance, you know, and so this is the price we pay. But we can turn it around. You know, we were saying, like, we could set up a chain of op shops called Blue Bee Op Shops, and suddenly the community would love to do it. We keep the products cheap because we get it cheap. We employ our own people, and because the one thing the government has that we don't is money. You want to pay your mortgage, you have to work in their system. We have no way to help people pay their mortgage. We can't even feed people. And so this is how we have to change, and it's going to take time. But that's what we have to do.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's the point. And I mean, that's about, like, you know, the government and, like, you know, they're, like, still relying on the money system. Yes, absolutely. And that will not change, like, you know, with what I'm proposing. I mean, the next step, I mean, after that, and I mean, it may still come to that, and we need to, like, you know, seriously entertain that, that, like, you know, realistically, we all have to move to one physical location in Australia and secede, like, put a border and say, we're not part of the Commonwealth anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe, like, you know, and if there's 1,000 of us, then like, you know, then we're screwed. But if there's 1 million, what if there's 2 million or 1.5 million? What are they going to do?
Well, you know what? We come across a lot of country towns where are just dying. The mass migration Indians aren't there yet, so they're dying. And you're thinking, well, we could start moving here, like starting artistic communities. Is this? We don't know what the future is. All we know is they're offering us a future that is not conducive to the human soul. And we don't have a destination yet, but we realize we can't go there, so we have to find another place to go.
And what we have done so far really hasn't worked and hasn't moved the needle.
No.
We need to think how we're going to. That's why, again, what I'm saying, amateur hour is over. Okay, we don't have time to teach. We don't have. I don't have time or interest to go, like, through the basics. Okay, what is the World Economic Forum? What is the New World Order? What is eugenics? What is this? Mate, okay, go. If you're interested, go and research yourself. I've written about it. Many other people have written about it. I'm not going to go through the basics with you.
No.
Once you're across the basics and you're interested, come back and we'll figure out how what we're doing as the next steps. And if you're not interested, that's fine too. Exactly. We can't save everyone.
No.
So,
well, some people don't want to be saved. Some people like totalitarianism.
Correct.
They do.
A lot, actually,
yes.
Valid point.
And they really love it, and they benefit from it. We're seeing it, and I saw it. Someone on the What the Fuck Boys had a Venezuelan on last night. He said there's people in Venezuela who are doing well in the system. They don't care about the rest of the country. They just care about themselves. That's the truth. This is it. And so here we are. And unity means that we might not all agree on where we're going or which way we're going. But what we agree in is that we don't want to go the way the government's taking us. That's unity. We don't want to go into the darkness. We just as yet don't have a destination where we can head to, but it's out there because other
I
groups
think
have done it all through history.
Michael, I think ultimately we do have a destination, and that destination is called freedom, right?
Oh yeah,
Freedom
I
means
get that, but it's something that people can put in their heads and see, like the tip of a mountain. Like you give humans a destination they can see. Here's a mountain that's never been climbed. Then let's climb it. Here's an ocean
yeah,
that's never been crossed in a sailboat. Then let's cross it. But at
yeah,
the moment, it's like vague. Freedom is vague. But if we can slowly, and we're not going to do it now, but over the years, if somebody go, this is what we want, this is the kind of country we want, and we can do it. That's why, I told you, Paul Lassig says about renovating our country back to its core. Other people are talking revolution, but I don't think we're anywhere near revolution yet, but they're taking our guns. They're coming, using hate speech against us. I mean, they're basically making us the dirty Jews again, and here we are. It's real and it's here, and this year is going to be interesting.
yeah. Revolution. I'll tell you what. I mean, that's a whole different discussion. But revolution is a
That's
tricky
a great
business.
idea. Start a church is a great idea, Margaret. Yeah.
Yeah, revolution is a tricky business. You know how it starts, and then usually it ends up being corrupted. I mean, the situation, what's happening in
right.
Iran right now
You end
is
up
a
with
lot more
more death than
complicated
you
than what
started
people
with.
think.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Look, I mean, everything starts. Yeah, I think the reason that the thing really that resonated for me with what you were saying, like you kept talking about this idea of commerce. Why? Because commerce actually builds a community. It builds a
Yeah.
community resilience, and then it
Yeah.
creates resources that allow
Yeah.
to divert it to something else.
Yeah.
Right? So even
Perfect
like
example is the Amish.
what I'm proposing, like a freedom network, right? And I mean that becomes like a venture that, like, what starts like whatever, rotating like millions every month, right? And this is a not-for-profit. Like I'm proposing to start it as a co-op, so we can direct, like, those profits, if necessary, to actually maybe buy like a chunk of land, buy properties, and like, actually like create, because there's a lot of like conversations about like network states and stuff like that. I mean, a country needs territorial like integrity. Like it needs to be connected. Like it needs to have a territory that you can defend, where you can say, we're moving to this part of Australia. This is no longer the Commonwealth. This is the Republic of whatever. We are independent. We don't recognize, like, not your laws, not your army, not your governance, not nothing. This is our laws. This is our country. Whether the UN recognizes us, whether the UN doesn't recognize us, actually, it's better that they don't recognize us, because we don't want to do anything with the UN. And what are you going to do about it? You're going to come in and slaughter millions of people?
Yeah, I can see, as Simon O'Rourke says here, I can see another Waco happening. Yeah, I think I'm
No,
not
I
in agreement
disagree.
with
That's not true. And
I'm not.
if you look
I
at,
actually have to disagree with you. I don't think, because I do know of several communities that have set up in order to have that, and all of them have collapsed. And I know, and I don't have time now, but I've talked at length about why they've collapsed, and they have collapsed. So I don't think that's the way forward. But I could be wrong. But I think there's people have got a lot of investments in the houses they're in that they've bought. They've built their own castles. It's going to be very hard for them just to up and leave it. And people have got family, and say someone has family in Tasmania is probably not going to go to live in WA. So there's so many variables that we'd have to get through.
I agree.
But
I
down
agree.
here, this one thing I may end on this as something to talk about, because I used to say this right from the beginning. I used to say to Damien in the first big marches in Melbourne, I said, this is a church. This is a church. And so you can be connected ideologically or spiritually, and we are connected spiritually. So we might not need a physical location, but we could have that. And that is harder to eradicate. It's like Christianity around the world rising up regardless. And where I saw that, the thing that made me realize how powerful a belief is, a religion or a belief, is I was in Sydney, and some people who knew me said, can you please come to our church? They'd been kicked out of their own church, and they found this new church. And I went into this, and it was in a hall. It wasn't actually a church. They just rent a hall for the day. It was packed with people. and a lot of young families, young men, tradies with tattoos, a lot of, just really everyday people there. And I thought this, and they're all celebrating Jesus. And I thought, whatever Jesus was selling, he didn't have the internet. He didn't even have a newspaper. I mean, Chancellor didn't even have underpants. But 2,000 years later, he's still drawing a bigger crowd than we can draw. And these are new people to religion. So there's a great power to a religion. And this could be a part of it. So I actually think the church is something worth talking about too. And not that we have any dogma or anything like that, but a lot of those marches, including Epic, if anyone went to Epic, Epic was a spiritual event, a gathering. So this is something else to talk about, Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to cut it short tonight because I think we should continue this. But just to finish, I'll tell you a summary of what Michael wants to set up a proper network, the same as Netflix. And where basically it's all these podcasters come together, and instead of you supporting all these different podcasters, or some people supply, one lady on here said she supports 4, you were a one-off payment, $5 to $50 a year, $5 a month, and you get access to the hoodies, to the bossies, to whoever you want. They're all there in this online mall, and it's like our fort of freedom, and basically supported by the people, no advertisers, so we can have free speech because no one is bearing down on us. No one has our puppet strings. We are our own people. Yeah. Is that sort of kind of what you were saying?
That's exactly it. I even played around with the logo and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if you want me to show that, but let me see.
Well, let me go and think. Just say what would be the first step. So the first step is just getting a business plan down and shipping it around. I know other podcasters are saying the same. There's another young guy. He used to be an army officer, and he's doing really well. He's got 100,000 followers on Instagram now, I think. I've heard that he's saying it. He's saying we have to come together. So I think this is like the 100 monkeys. Everyone is thinking this is what we have to do now. We have to come together. There is strength in numbers, and they are coming for us. They are coming for us.
And look, Michael, I mean, you're asking about first steps. I mean, I don't propose, I don't propose that I have all the answers or even all the questions.
No, that's cool.
Initially what I was thinking, if we want to make sure, it remains independent, we don't get corrupted by advertisers or investors, right? I look, okay, how do you actually, in practical terms, how do you set it up, right? A company is problematic, trust is problematic. There's a lot of stuff that we can do. But what I looked at, there is something in Australia, and I don't know what is the equivalent in New Zealand. I tried to kind of research, and I couldn't really find it. Maybe there isn't one, but it'd be interesting if people know. But in Australia, we have something called the cooperative, right? A cooperative means, right, that it's co-owned. You need at least 5 people to start, right? Yeah. And it's co-owned by the people, and basically you're employed by an entity that you are co-owner in, right? So it is similar to a company, but it's better than a company in many, many ways, right? And basically you set it up. And initially, how I'm thinking of doing that, you do a crowdfund, right? And basically everyone can contribute the same amount. There's only one option, and that option is $50. That $50 gives you the first year subscription to the network once it's launched, and guarantees, locks in that price for life as a foundation member. And you do a crowdfund, and we see how much we can generate, right? I mean, I did kind of a rough, calculation, but again, I don't propose to have all the answers, but minimum 10,000 people for a $500,000 raise. If we can do that, we can start setting things in motion.
Yeah.
And then obviously once it launches and it scales, the sky is the limit. If we can't get 10,000 freedom lovers across Australia and New Zealand, then we might as well just pack up and leave because we have no community.
Let's talk what happened about the NSN boys. They've disbanded. But let's look at the time. Sorry. I've got a cap cut going at the same time. Yeah, I agree with you, Michael. I think these are the ideas.
But these are just numbers,
Yeah, now is the time to go forward. There's no use just banging on about how bad everything is because it's just echo chambers. All this is going to, we all know it. Fauci's a creep. We all know it. We're getting bored of hearing it. We need ideas. We need to inspire people. We need to move ahead. There's a new guy on here talking. I don't know if he's Peter someone, and he's got great ideas. AI is the new Jesus. Stay tuned. I actually have been wondering that myself, Peter. So if you want to come on and have a chat, feel free to get in contact with us at cafelockedout@gmail.com or Michael at cafelockedout.com. Be interesting to hear your thoughts. But yeah, I agree. This is the year now. They're moving on us. It's time for us to take the front foot and go, well, we're creating this. And we are this is a marathon race. I actually tell people this is like a relay marathon. We are the first ones to the baton since the COVID era, and we have to think long term. Plant the seeds for a forest we might never reach, but our kids or our grandkids might benefit from the shelter of freedom that we plant here today. That's something we have if we want it.
I agree. Yeah. And to use your marathon analogy, yes, I agree with that. But we need to actually, like, a marathon or like a relay race, right?
To do things.
But we need to actually start running.
Yeah, that's right.
We
totally agree.
do need to start running. Like, for that to become a race or a relay race, we need to start running. We haven't started running yet.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Took us a couple of years to figure out what's going on. Then we spent a couple of years fighting each other. Okay, it's time to start doing things.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it's, yeah, I totally agree. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there. I love having you on, Michael. I love your thoughts, and I don't need them all to be true even. I don't need to agree with anything. I just love thoughts, and I love ideas, because who knows what could blossom from them. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's terrific.
Thanks for having me on, Michael. I appreciate it.
Coming on. No worries, man. Take care. And everyone, this is Cure. I'll be back tomorrow with Lindsay, our psychologist, and let's see what he wants to talk about. It's his decision tomorrow. I'll be in touch with him. Take care, brother. Wish you well. Actually, stay in the studio. I'll just play this song. I'll have a chat. This is called Pure.
If I could be anything for you, I would be your cure. I'd pour light into your wounds to soak their poison into the potions of love, into the golden and smoldering potion of love.
So help has arrived. We're very grateful.
And as their darkness drained, I would tear apart your cage, remolding the bars that held you into your destined wings, into your destined wings, flying above us all in your destined wings.
Absolutely gorgeous. We were the only people parked.
If from your flight you return, I would have sewn a blanket for you, cut fresh from the curative fabric of spring. But hopefully you'd fly off to that destination you were born with, the one they tried to steal from your soul. That destination you were born with, the one they tried to steal from your soul. If I could be anything for you,
I'd like to say a huge thank you to
I would be your cure.
who's come out and supported Michael and Cafe Lockdown to continue doing good.
If I could be anything for you, I would be your cure. I would tear apart your cage, remolding the bars that held you destined wings, your destined wings, your destined wings, your destined wings. Fly, just fly. Realize all that is holding you down. The concepts. If I could be anything for you, if I could be anything, I would be your cure. I would be your cure. I would be your cure. If I could be anything for you, I would be your cure. I'd pour light into your wounds to soak their poison into the potions of love, into the golden and smoldering potions of love.